My name is Lerow Robert. My background is in architecture, and this project is part of the Urban Design Studio. Today, I'll be presenting my proposal for Oliver Bonds housing in the Liberties, a project that explores relationship between microclimate and social life in public housing. At its core, the project starts from a simple observation. Even when space is or is physically available, people do not always use it. Uh, so I started asking myself why it's not used as it to be used. And this leads me to my research question: how can improving microclimate comfort influence how people use the space, how long they stay, and how they interact with one another in the place? So I started with the historical study to understand the present condition of the site. It's important to look over its past. So in the 19th century, the Liberties had sorry, the old ones have a very different urban character. It had a fine grained street network with strong building edges. The special qualities created a sense of enclosure. They also provide a natural protection from wind and help to retain the warmth. As site evolved in the 20th century, the structure began to change. Urban clearance and redevelopment introduced wider street and larger blocks, which made the grain to be more fragmented and the sense of enclosure became weaker. In its current form, the site reflects a modest planning approach. Large open spaces dominate the layout, but this space lack definition and protection, and this is where the problem begins. Basically, I'm focusing on two major elements. One is microclimate, and the other one is the social life. So, when we look at the Dublin's climate, um, this becomes even more critical. Dublin has a maritime climate characterized by heavy wind and limited solar gain. Uh, Within the site, the lack of enclosure allows wind to move freely through open corridors, effectively creating wind tunnel effect. At the same time, building arrangements limit the amount of sunlight reaching the areas. The result is a set of spaces that are physically accessible but environmentally feels uncomfortable. And because of discomfort, people are not staying in that place for a long time. Where social activities becomes limited and fragmented. Most interaction happens along the edges. Um, People mostly use it as their transaction points, and so the core issue is not just a spatial; it's environmental and experience. The site lacks the conditions necessary to support everyday social life. So I came up with a few analysis initially, where how people use the site, it's the active edges, and the most of the midpoint it's only used for vehicular movements, and I came up with the for the wind analysis with comfortable and uncomfortable spaces. But then this lead to the main problem, like again the major problems are like the for wind sorry, for the microclimate. I came up with the strong wind and limited solar access and the surface dampness after rainfall. um, and then I did a microclimatical analysis using the software called Autodesk Forma, and with that, so I did for daylighting, wind analysis, and microclimate, which looks after the temperature and the wind movement, and came up with the SWAT. So the SWAT is like strength, enclosed blocks structures offers potential for sheltered courtyards. Existing building mass can act as a wind barrier. Social, strong communities presence and existing informal social nodes at entrance and pathways. And weakness or like wind tunnel effect, large open space, poor solar penetration, and open spaces or undefined social activities limited in the edges only. weak spatial hierarchy and opportunities are like introduce permeable edges and configuring spaces, use the landscape as and climate infrastructure, then create diverse social space, activate courtyards, etc. And the threats are like Dublin's windy climate, over design made this enclosure, and climate changes increases the extreme weather pattern. And then, in the case study, I have gone through the proposal made by DCC, which was like improving the landscape and few community spaces within the site. And then I have gone through few other case studies listed down like comfort and public spacing in Dublin, Duckland, which came up with barriers and windbreakers used to diffuse and divert the wind flow. Then I came going through another case study. So where urban morphology influenced the microclimate condition, especially the urban outdoor temperature. Then the other case studies like urban design and outdoor thermal comfort research. So in this, I have learned like vegetation is the strongest cooling system. Street geometry influence the wind directions, etc. And then before starting the proposal, I have a clear idea like the things on my mind like focusing on the sun code, play code, and threshold spaces. The sun code is like seating, the people need to sit there for a longer duration, and the play code is like active space for children and social interaction space, and then it's sheltered interaction zone along the edges. So with these three typologies, I just came with the design principle, which is reintroducing the enclosure by defining edges and creating clear spatial boundaries, breaking down large underused space into small human scale spaces, maximum solar access, so space where shaped and oriented to capture sunlight, then the buffer zones. These act as a transition element using built forms, landscapes, and vegetations. And with this strategies, the design activates ground level edge, encouraging the interaction between buildings and public spaces. Okay. Then I started working on my proposal. The proposal one is like an urban room. So this is an urban room like it's an enclosed space within the site, which provides shelter in all weather conditions. Where I have just targeted on 4 urban rooms within the site, and then another integration is like leveling down few blocks within the site to reintroduce the solar gain into the surface. Then with the second option, I started why not enclosed courtyard, like converting the entire site into a single enclosed space where the entire courtyard space acts as an enclosed corridor which can change the wind flow into which without coming into the site. Secondly, it's also focusing on the social nodes and the community spaces. And I started with the zoning. The zoning clear shows like how the site has been divided and how interaction points act. And then I was start with the node network as the focusing on the social points like these are the new active edges and central nodes which can act as an interaction points. Then I have listed the design interventions. So in this I have just marked what are the design interventions I'm going to focus on, and I have listed it down. Like first one is the living wall, which filters the wind flow and reduces the wind force acting into the site. Then resurfacing the site, which reduces the with the permeable tiles, which reduces the surface dampness. Then the social life. Social life, it's like redefining the movement corridor which connects to the nodes and acts as a point of interaction. So I have just gone for 4 social nodes. So then I have created 2 community spaces. Like one is for one act as an multi-purpose community space, and then other one can act as an laundry space. As the inside they have using the open space for drying the clothes. So the other one is like for reorientation of the parking. The other biggest problem in the site is like the parking and the road network occupies the maximum space in the site. So I came up with an idea of like reorganizing the parking space, like eliminating the vehicle access within the site limit and converting the site into an pedestrian friendly. So I redirected the parking to the nearby multi-parking space. So we had a multi-parking space near the site. So I have reoriented the parking in the site to the multi-parking. And to the master plan. So the master plan clearly shows how it works, and these are the design interventions that I have added to the site, like living wall, community spaces, proposed landscapes, etc. And these are the social interaction points, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the circulation, how it runs. Like this is the external regular access, and we have an internal access to the multi-level car parking and internal access. And then came up with a final analysis with the proposed interventions. I created a final analysis model in Autodesk Forma, and I just combined with the previous analysis. So this is the previous analysis. The first analysis is the wind. So after the intervention of the living wall in the open edges, the wind tunnel effect have been reduced, and most of the edges, like the wind speed have been reduced from 2 to 3.5 meter per second. Then there is the ground analysis, like how people act in the ground. Like previously, it was mostly on strolling out and walking. Like people can't stay there for a long time. So after creating the design interventions, it's like more on sitting and standing. And then the microclimate, again, the internal microclimatic conditions have been changed as the wind tunnels were closed. Like the temperature have been dropped. Sorry, the internal temperature have been raised. And then I have added the existing views and the proposed views, how it works in site. And I'm also having a walkthrough video, like how it's and these are the social nodes. These are the proposed empty spaces. This is the living wall, which can filter the wind into the side. And overall, the proposal transforms the site's open spaces from exposed and underused area into a network of climate responsive urban space by introducing permeable edges, conditions, and restructuring spatial layouts. The design improves comfort, encourages longer stay, and supports a wider range of social activities. That's it. Great.
There's a lot to consider with this project, definitely. And I'm really interested in this, and I'm kind of curious about the positioning of these social spaces, and your 3D is brilliant because it shows how people use those spaces. But was there something in particular that made you pick?
This is an junction point where this activates just connect, and here again it's connect here is an exit point, so I can maybe having some stairs or something to act as an other node, and again we're having a community space. This can act as an central node, and again here we are having out, so this can act as a central node.
Did you test that? I'm just wondering because you've done so much now. Were you able to test?
I didn't have a practical test.
Yeah, but I'm just interested. Not to worry.
I was have an analysis of how the nodes work. It had.
Yeah, excellent. So you would have gone here and mapped how people already
No,
use
it's like another kind of software, something I have used.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I was curious about these. So you're saying these are comfortable sizes and these are uncomfortable.
Yeah, in terms of the winds flow.
In terms of wind, okay. Interesting.
It's like it's an internal effect. It's great, and it's move internal effect, and this wind will be flowing over, and this is really very uncomfortable.
Okay. And is there, in terms of the apartments themselves, is the condition of them very poor?
The problem is it's concrete surface under the existing condition. So concrete surface, it will be the surface runoff will be moved. So I thought of introducing something permeable surfaces. So the water will get tapped into the ground, and the surface runoff will be limited.
Okay, excellent. Great. Yeah, I really liked this idea of the thresholds. Where does this come into your design?
I have not developed that Excel design, but something like the nodes.
Okay.
This is what I have.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Great. It's lovely to see these. These are brilliant. Really shows what you're visualizing. Great.